Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Hello my fellow Archons. You clicked this video probably thinking to yourself, what makes this duo lane of Marci and Io unheard of? It's probably because you haven't heard of it before. And I shit you not, this is going to be one of the funnest and strongest lane duos I've ever had the pleasure of playing. If you know me, I usually spout absolute garbage about my builds, exaggerating my meme niche builds for your entertainment, but this is different. I'm actually dead serious about this one. This is not a meme. This isn't even a build. It's just two heroes in a lane, and an advertisement for the freest MMR of your life. So listen closely. Forget everything you know. If you're a position 1 or 3 player and often play with an IO player, the only thing you should ever have to play again in a duo lane is just Marci. And so long as you can rub 2 brain cells together, you can absolutely stomp your games. So here's the game plan for our 2 favorite mystical mutes. Step 1. Io tethers the Marci. Step 2. Marci takes sidekick and uses it on Io. Step 3. Nice, good game, well played. Take a 25 MMR and go again. Understandably, you got no idea what I'm talking about, so let me put that in layman's terms for you. Marci's sidekick received a rework in 7.34. The ability's duration was changed from 7 seconds. Instead, it's now a permanent buff that is only dispelled upon death. They've reduced how much lifesteal the ability has, but in exchange, it's now shared lifesteal. Are the cogs turning in your head yet? If you still don't get it, you will soon. Here's how to pull off step 3. At level 1, the values may be low, but don't be fooled, because this is still an immediate advantage you are currently in possession of. With it, you and your partner will abuse it by winning almost every trade with the opponent. Marci can just comfortably last hit and get a few pot shots in too, while Io annoyingly pecks at them, with no regard for his own life. Because it doesn't matter. Shared lifesteal. Whatever Marci punches will heal Io. Whatever Io throws orbs at will heal Marci. But this is just the beginning. This is where the real fun begins. Since Tether is a constant source of whatever healing and mana regeneration the Io is currently receiving, that means whenever Marci hits something whilst Io is tethered to her, her healing will double dip. And the same applies with Io's attacks. Whatever Io hits will heal Marci with sidekick and travel through the tether. If you still don't understand the appeal, or what I'm talking about in general, here's some examples of this double dip in practice. Alright, yep. Full health and no time at all. Alright, let's go. Yeah, look at that.
That's fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Shit.
Basically, the sustainability in this lane is kind of insane from the get-go, and it only gets better as you both level up your respective abilities. The more levels that you guys obtain, the harder it'll be for the enemy to achieve anything worthwhile against you. And to top that statement off, this duo has pretty much everything you need to have a good time in the safe lane or off lane. So the opponent will struggle regardless, so long as you play your cards right. Marci has a permanent shared lifesteal and damage buff, mobility, a stun, forced movement, and Io. He's got overcharge, a slow on anything caught in tether, which synergizes quite well with Marci thanks to dispose, and lastly, relocate. Relocating into the enemy's backline or blind spot during a fight, and catching the opponent by surprise with Unleash is a very worthwhile strategy. Even more so once Marci picks up an Agnum Scepter. Speaking of the fabled Scepter of Agnum, I can't stress how extremely important this item is for Marci. In my eyes, it's a hard requirement to enable this character's full potential. This is an absolutely god tier item for Marci, which not only further enables her role versatility, but can actually be a game-changing item, allowing you to straight up hard stomp fights, or even rip a full 180 on a rough game. Ag's Scepter directly upgrades Marci's ultimate ability, Unleash, reducing its cooldown by 10 seconds, dispelling her upon cast, making Pulse silence all enemies in a damage radius for 1 second, and also cause all of her abilities to release a pulse when cast. Be sure to pick this item up as fast as possible, preferably after boots and your first item. Even though this video is not a build, it's still important to talk about itemization when it comes to strats like these, as itemizing is one of the many persistent factors that drastically affect the results in every single match of Dota. If you don't itemize correctly against your opponent, then I'm sorry, skill issue. For me personally, itemizing Marci has been something like a breath of fresh air. I'll explain. Thanks to Marci being universal, her item choices are as well, so you have many routes to go down, regardless of which role you find yourself in. For example, if I'm playing Marci in the safe lane, my personal favorite item to purchase first is Diffusal Blade, followed up by Agnum Scepter. Then my usual choice of items include, but are not limited to, MKB, Heart, Skadi, Lincolns, or maybe even Daedalus. At the end of the day, it all really depends on what I'm up against. For this lane, I highly recommend picking up the Diffusal Blade as a starting point if you have no idea what you're doing, so long as you're not going up against illusion-based heroes like Phantom Lance Lancer or Chaos Knight for example. Reason I recommend Diffusal Blade is simply thanks to its synergy within the strategy. The early Diffusal Blade when playing alongside Io allows you to be very aggressive in the early game, and when I say very aggressive I mean crackhead levels of aggression. Early Diffusal Blade enables the two of you to roam around the enemy jungle, partake in fights with Relocate, and win almost all the time so long as you don't position like absolute Archon monkeys. In saying that, up against an illusion-based core, you should maybe forget about Diffusal Blade for now, as Battle Fury is probably going to be your go-to. Not only is it a great farming item that'll help you get those important items faster, it absolutely shreds those illusions into dust with the immense attack speed provided by Unleash and pretty much all the AoE damage in your kit. That's assuming you aren't 0 and 9 and finishing that Battle Fury by 38 minutes. Now if you instead feel like playing the offlane, you have two options. Go that same damage-focused core route, or you're smart enough to realize that you might be 0 and 5 before 10 minutes. This is why discussing itemization is incredibly important with heroes like these. Trust me when I say this, it's not rocket science to understand and accept the truth that your lane will be lost if you decide to build a certain way. I, for one, have learned that the long, grueling, and hard way in every single video. Instead of building like a POS 1, be the bigger man. Literally. In the offlane, you'll want to lean towards what an offlaner actually is. So, opt for that early Vanguard. Go into a Blade Mail, then the Ag Scepter. After Ags, disassemble your Vanguard and make a harder Tarask. And from there, it's pretty much your ball game. Marci's flexibility is absolutely beautiful, allowing her to branch out in many different directions, whether it be utility, tanking, supporting, supplementing whatever the team is missing, or taking the role of the second or third carry. On a final note for the offlane, if things are going just fine within the lane, then hell, you can honestly just build your POS 1 items. Get whatever you want, just make sure you get that Ags. Itemizing Io is much like a game of chess. I don't know how to play chess. But luckily for both of us, you've probably seen my friend that religiously plays Io in every single one of my videos. So don't worry, I still have no idea what I'm talking about. Even though discussing itemization is important, we're not delving too deep into IOs. Everything I'm going to talk about here is assuming you or whoever else is watching already knows how to play IO, or at least has some knowledge of playing IO. And I expect the way both you and I build IO probably won't be wildly different. Instead, there's just a few items I want to point out that synergize and strengthen this duo. In the early game, you've got a few choices, each with incredible value for IO. Mechanism, Holy Locket, and Vlad's for example. And they can all be purchased at almost any stage of the game. But the one that sticks out in this duo is Vladimir's offering. Its incredible aura provides a little extra of everything to your team and a lot of extra for Marci. This item can really help keep up the momentum with its mana regeneration, armor, and its lifesteal and damage bonuses. The boost in damage will most definitely be noticeable thanks to Marci being universal, and the lifesteal aura works incredibly well with Sidekick, bumping it up to 45% with level 4 Sidekick. Another early to mid-game gem to consider even situationally is Solar Crest and its infant counterpart. A great option to sit on throughout your early to mid-game thanks to its strength and value in offense, defense, stats, etc. It's incredibly useful against tankier opponents that like to purchase Vanguard, great for stomping a lane even harder before you start stomping the rest of the map, and it's just great for countering heroes that literally purchase the exact same thing. These two items alongside a Holy Locket are honestly my personal favorites that I like seeing my IO build. Moving on to the later stage of the game, there's two items I'd like to explain briefly before I throw out some names and end the video like I usually do. Assault Cuirass and Heart of Tarask. When the big guns start coming out, you will need to look towards upping your arsenal. Thankfully, Io is one of those heroes where after enough time passes, he receives a nice return on his investments that he can use to better apply himself and make an impact. And that's where these two items come in. When you're a few items in and feel like you're in a comfortable position where you no longer have to pursue those support items like Glimmer Cape or 4-star for example, look towards Heart of Tarask. This is your staple and first priority. It'll provide you a nice huge boost in survivability, little extra right click damage which is always nice, I guess, and massive healing for both you and your tethered target. Afterwards, Assault Cuirass is a great choice to go for, especially so your cores don't have to. For Io, it'll increase his overall survivability, whilst giving a boost to the team in both offense and defense. Io is a great aura bitch for the team, and your cores will appreciate that you're saving them an extra item slot, giving them some breathing room to decide on different items that might be better suited for their situation. Apart from that, the other choices I'd like to throw out there when fighting alongside Marci include, but aren't limited to, Shiva's Guard, Spirit Vessel, Pipe of Insight, Dagon, and once level 25 comes in, make sure to pick the correct talent, so you can look towards Daedalus and Desolator. That way you can steal Marci's last hits, and her Rampage when she uses Unleash. Congratulations, I've taught you pretty much everything I know. Now that I've imparted this knowledge upon you, I want you to join my guild. You want to join my guild. You will join the guild. Now go on and abuse the ever-living shit out of this strategy or fuck it up somehow. I am legally not responsible for the numerical value, aka your MMR, that you've tied your self-worth to. Have a good night, Merry Christmas, and see you next time.
Очень смелый, видно, тот, потому что только смелый сам полезет в самолет, потому что только смелых уважает высота, потому что в самолете все зависит от винта.
That was some impressive pathing on my part.
У пилота есть работа, он летает самолет. У пилота есть забота, если вдруг пилот уснет. Потому, когда, приятель, ты надумаешь летать, не забудь, что ты летатель, и не смей в кабине спать.
I am dead.
Watch this one, bro. I'll be playing in the vine. Really to get this combat. It was actually amazing. I have no matter, I can't do anything. Wait.
Oh my god.
That was a lie. That was a fucking lie. Holy shit, that was sick.
Потому, когда, приятель, ты надумаешь летать, не забудь, что ты летатель, и не смей в кабине спать.
Just has holes and 60.
У пилота есть работа, он летает самолет. У пилота есть забота, если вдруг пилот уснет. Потому, когда, приятель, ты надумаешь летать, не забудь, что ты летатель, и не смей в кабине спать. У пилота есть работа, он летает самолет. У пилота есть забота, если вдруг пилот уснет. Потому, когда, приятель, ты надумаешь летать, не забудь, что ты летатель, и не смей в кабине спать.